Hello YouTube and hello Ninth Age community. This is Charles with Horisha Gaming, and I have another Ninth Age battle report. This is round 3 of Battlecry GT that I just attended this last weekend, and let's kind of just really get right into it. So this is a summation of my army list. I went over it in pretty long detail in the first battle report. I would definitely go watch that one if you're interested in that and kind of the real breakdown of it, but I'm just going to leave it up here for a couple seconds. You can pause if you really want to read it. That's my night list. This is Justin Berge's Infernal Dwarves. So he's got a Prophet, General, Wizard Master, running Alchemy. He's got the Tablet of Ashrook. He's got an Obsidian Rock and a Shield. Then he has a Prophet Adept, Wizard Adept, with Pyromancy, Book of Arcane Mastery, a Shield, and then he has a Vizier BSB with an Infernal Weapon, a Shield, a Talisman of the Void, and the Icon of the Inferno. So a very magic heavy list. He has one thing of 15 Citadel Guard with full command. They have the Aether Icon, Flintlock Axes, Shields, and then he has a unit of... He had 2 units of 10. I don't know why. It might have been a little mess up in the list here, but he had 2 units of 10 Flintlock Citadel Guard with Musician Standard and Flintlock Axes and Shields. Then he had 5 Hobgoblin Wolf Riders, Light Armor and Shield, 2 Hobgoblin Bolt Throwers, a Volcano Cannon, an Infernal Engine with the Shrapnel Guns, 5 Truck with Musician and Shield, and then he had 6 Kadim Incarnates and 3 Kadim Incarnates. Round 3 at Battlecry GT is Marching Columns and Hold Ground. My spells are Altered Sight and Perception of Strength, Ice and Fire, Touch of the Heart, and then I took Quicksilver Lash as my hereditary spell. My opponent, the Pyromancy Adept, has Haze of Magnesia and Flaming Swords, and then the Alchemy guy has Corruption Tin, Word of Iron, Quicksilver Lash, and Molten Copper. Just a good overview of my deployment. So we traded a couple drops, marching columns. I started with my riders on the far right of this picture, and once I had something where I knew I could put my crossbows down and possibly shoot turn 1, I decided to place everything else. And I actually kind of at the last second, I feel like I decided to go to have the bottom of turn 1 instead of going second. So I put 5 riders, my far right flank, next to 3 Knights of Sun Griffin. I put my crossbowmen in the ruins. I guess I was worried about the Flintlock Axes. Put my Knights in the middle there, next to my Wizard Master on the Arcane Engine and my Steam Tank. And then I have 4 Knights in the Sun Griffin on the other side of that, and 5 more riders in the flank. And this is my opponent's deployment. So he's got, he basically started with his 10 Flintlock guys right on the left of this picture. So he started there, kind of pretty far into his deployment actually. I mean, it's marching columns, so you don't have to start anywhere on the board. You just got to choose a side and start deploying. So 10 Flintlocks, behind them are the 5 Turok, and then he's got his 6 Kadims, and then his big unit of 15 Flintlocks, 5 Hobgoblin Wolf Riders, his Infernal Engine, his Flame Cannon, his 3 Kadims, and then his 2 Hobgoblin Bolt Throwers are kind of on the backs of that hill, and then he's got 10 more Flintlocks. Kind of a good picture of the vanguards. I moved one up to put them behind the building, and then I just kind of moved one back because I figured they would just get shot turn 1 if they kind of moved too aggressively. And this is a good picture of my opponent's turn 1, Infernal Dwarf turn 1. So he turns and moves his little Flintlock to try and pop a couple shots at the riders. The Flintlocks on the hill move down, and then the Flintlocks in the center just garrison that wall. And unfortunately, I had a couple bad places, I feel like, where I didn't deploy as well as I could have. I put the Steam Tank up like 11 inches, and I kind of forgot that when ID players put their Infernal Engine on its side, they get like that extra like half of an inch or like an inch and a half or something like that. So he was able to shoot with his Steam Infernal Engine turn 1. So just a couple bad deployments right there. He gets Flux Card 3. He saves 2 tokens. So he starts off with 7 to 5 dice. He gets Molten Copper off. And it's interesting because I have MR3 on my knights. But he got a Molten Copper off. And not that he can't get spells off, but, it's just a lower casting. He kills 4 knights once, so that was pretty rough. His Blaze kills a couple light infantry. And then in the shooting phase, he shoots not even like on great things like 6s and 7s on my rioters, and he just does a couple wounds, makes them panic, sends them off the board, and then they actually panic my Knights of Sun Griffin, who also flee, but they don't go quite as far to go run off. So, but they are in the corner of the board, unfortunately. Not a great place for them to be. And then, oh my gosh, I lose what? Like 5 more knights? No, 4 more knights just from the bolt throwers. Hitting on 5s. They just opened up and they just tore through my knights. Ugh. So unfortunately, this is what it's looking like at the the end of turn 1 Infernal Dwarves. Very, very strong turn from my opponent. So, and that was basically a picture of my movement too. I really didn't go very far. My knights rallied. I was kind of at a loss of what to do here, unfortunately. I felt that I've already lost so many knights. I didn't really like how I was positioned. I was really like not a strong space at this point. So the only thing I could think was like I really wanted to get rid of the engine, because then if I can get rid of the engine, I can maybe do something with the steam tank. So I was really just gonna focus my magic and everything on that, and just try and whittle down that big block of Infernal or Citadel Guard to possibly be able to go into them later or something. So you got Flux Card 6, and I save a token. I get a Touch of the Heart off on the Infernal Engine, do a wound. And I think something shoots. I think the steam tank might shoot and do 1 wound. I think this might be going all the way into my opponent's next magic phase, because my opponent didn't really move all that much either, to be honest. This was a very slow game, just a lot of throwing magic and shooting. So he got Flux Card 4, he saved a token, he got Haze of Magnesia off on my steam tank. That Book of Arcane Power adept, that guy was just dirty. I mean, he could just throw 1 dice, and even if he gets like a 4, it's like a 6. But I feel like he was rolling 1 or 2 dice, and he was getting like these huge casts with it, and you just can't stop it. And then that makes his Molten Copper effective. Instead of just being like wounding on a 4-up, now it's wounding on a 4 re-rolling. So he does like 4 wounds with Molten Copper. And then the bolt throwers just keep hitting. I swear, those bolt throwers almost never missed in 5s. And I felt so silly because I played against bolt throwers all day. At this first day, I played against 6 bolt throwers already. And I did the perfect strategy, putting my knights in the rune. And then this game, I decided I wasn't going to do that. And I don't know what came over me. I think I was just worried about losing my light infantry, but I don't know why I was worried about that. So going into this is all the way into my magic phase again. I wasn't moving either. I think I was just paralyzed. I really felt like I'd already lost this game. And the only thing I could think was like I need to get rid of this engine, but I was too worried about moving my knights forward, because I was just worried, so far it hadn't really suffered any flintlock damage, and I'm like, if I move my knights forward, I'm just gonna be eating more strength 4 AP2 shots, Just really was unhappy with how I played this game, to be honest. I get Altered Sight off of my light infantry. It's not a big deal. He's got a hard cover. I get another Touch of the Heart off. He's pretty much letting Touch of the Heart go and then stopping Quicksilver Lash. And this is what it's kind of looking like. This is finally like a picture of the movement. This is Infernal Dwarves turn 3, actually. So, I basically all I've been doing the first couple turns is I've been whittling down his big block of 15, like a model or 2 a turn with my crossbows. I've just been losing knights left and right. some to alchemy, but like I just the bolt throws are just hitting every round. On five, like on fives, and he's just hitting every round. He's like always wounding, which I mean, like the first one should always wound, but then like the other ones are just on fours, and those are wounding just straight up. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. And then his Kadeems are kind of just flanking out now, and yeah, so this is Infernal Dwarves turn three. If I didn't say that already, the Kadeems are flanking out to kind of get in my flanks and really put pressure on me. The one Knight of the Sun Griffin, like the fled turn one is moved back, but then now they're not in a very strong spot. And yeah, I'm just kind of at a little loss of what to exactly do right now. Yeah, I just really wasn't happy with anything that was going on. I felt like I'd really let my knights get crippled. Uh, yeah, I felt like I just hadn't really played very smart at this point. So yeah, just not the best plays here for sure. His in his magic phase he gets flux card 8, so he gets plenty of dice. He gets flaming swords up. I just found this magic phase so overwhelming. Honestly, one of the most impressive magic phases I've really ever seen. Obviously, alchemy is pretty rough against my army with all my armor, but it's just a lot of channels. I mean, with the tablet, you basically get 4 channels. He does another 2 wounds of the steam tank, I think, with like a quick splash. More knights die. It's just brutal. This is Empire Sonnstahl turn 3. I decide just to put my steam tank into here. My cannon's just not hitting or not wounding. I really want to get rid of these wolves, but I didn't want to take DTs on my knights, so I just put my steam tank into it. I get flex card 2, and I save 2 tokens. Take another wound off on the engine, so it's only got 3 left. Get another altered sight off of my crossbows. Finish off the wolves. I think I do a wound over here with my riders. And this is what it's looking like at Infernal Doors turn 4. I know I did try to charge my knights at the small unit truck, and I needed like an 18, and I just couldn't make it with like all the orders on them. I think they had on the double and everything. I think they just had on the double because they didn't really need the brace for impact or anything else. Because because even if I went in there, I would have been out of line of sight of his Kadeems, and I mean I would have mind reforming and just being right next to his blocks. That would have been fine. Obviously, I would have eaten a lot more shooting, but I just need to do something. But I couldn't make that charge last turn, so now he's able to chaff me with those guys. And my tank is still alive, but we'll see how much longer. Yeah, this is turn where he brings both of his Kadeems into my Knights of Sun Griffin. The small unit of 3 into the the unit of 4, and then I basically had to chaff the big unit of 6 with my unit of 3 to give my crossbows more time to try and pick things off. I don't know why I was so protective of my crossbows this game. They really just were in the wrong spot. They should have been in the middle. Yeah, they should have been right in the middle, and my knights should have been going in that rune. I just don't know what I was thinking. So it's flux card 7, so he gets plenty of dice. My opponent got every good flux card. He didn't roll. I don't even think he. I think he did get the 1 at one point, but it didn't affect him. He just hit so many dice. He's able to get an alchemy spell off, put flammable on my Knights of Sun Griffin. Ugh. And I think that alchemy spell was the one that kills the steam tank. And he also gets corruption at 10 off on my knights. So now, this combat, which really isn't that bad for 4 Knights of Sun Griffin, is now losable for me if I don't roll well or if he rolls really well. These guys shoot and they do a wound, so they're still can do something. Thankfully, don't have to take pain test. His volcano cannon misfires, surprisingly. I feel like I haven't seen that in a while. It takes 1 wound. These guys easily beat up on the Knight of the Sun Griffin. They only lose 1 model, and they overrun. Don't quite get in the flank of my my crossbows here. And then, thankfully, here I'm steadfast. Or actually, I think we just I think it's a small break test, and I'm able to stick around. Yeah, I think it was like a 7 or 6, and I was able to just hang on. So, but yeah, this was a fight that I feel like I wasn't really scared of, and just his magic just turned it in his favor. So many dice and so many spells. Just ugh, very very effective magic against me. So this is Emperor Sonnstahl turn 4. I decide on this turn. I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure like this game is gonna just be a total loss. So at this point, I just want to mitigate how bad the loss is. So I charge my light infantry into the flank of his truck. I'm like, hey, if something good happens here, maybe I can break these guys. Get their points. Keep those light infantry alive. Like that would be really nice. Um, and then I move my knights just up within 6 inches of the objective marker just to start claiming points because he's been. Thankfully, the only thing my opponent didn't really do this game is he didn't get close enough to that marker with his block of Infernal Dwarves in the middle. So, thankfully, nobody's claimed a point yet. So, and I have the bottom turn, so I'm going to claim a point on turn 4. And then I'm just hoping I can stick around, maybe get one on 5, and then stop my opponent from getting the objective. That would be in itself a decent win, actually. A decent win-loss. So, yeah, this is movement phase, Emperor Sonnstahl turn 4. I get Flux card 7. Just throw Ice and Fire here because I just want to try and remove this, scoring unit. I don't think it really does all that much. This combat, I reduce him down to one guy, but we're kind of sticking around, so that's not too terrible. And then I don't know if you guys saw this, but I actually charged my riders into his tank, just to try and hold it up for a round of combat, just to avoid shooting in his turn 6, and it actually worked very, very well. He only got, I think I came in with 4 guys. I actually did a wound, but of course he made an armor save, like a 5-up armor save against like the pistol shot, and then yeah, he got one grind through and one dwarf killed a guy. So I think I lost by 1, but it was I moved my general and everything BSB in range, so they stuck around. So I was pretty happy about that. And then unfortunately here he just he had like 4 attacks going into my flank, and he just hit and wounded with like 3 of them, killed 3 guys, and he just made it a tie combat. So just kind of good rolls for my opponent, unfortunately, and now now I'm probably going to get outgrinded, obviously, here. So, I mean, I held him up for a round. And it's good because, obviously this is a scoring unit, but it would have been really would have appreciated some kind of small turnaround here. A little bit of luck to just, get these guys to break or something like that. And yep, this is just a picture of me saying, "Oh, I got one point for the objective right here." So, Infernal Dwarves turn 5. Seeing how I'm like kind of going for the objective at this point. He's kind of following suit to stop me. So, he bails all of his characters out of what was his big unit of Citadel Guard, and they move within 6 of the objective. Because thankfully, he did put 2 of his scoring units really far away on his flanks. And, I mean, they're dwarves, so they're not all that fast. So, it's going to be another turn before they can get there. My only goal was to hopefully survive the round of combat with the Gadim Incarnate and kill it with the 2 Knights of Sun Griffin and be alive to be able to move on to the objective marker turn 5 to tie it or maybe even win it if I have some knights alive who might be able to charge the Citadel Guard. Fortunately, the magic phase, he gets another big phase. He gets Haze of Magnesia off. This is where he one diced it and he got like a 7 or an 8. And it's like, I'm not throwing 2 dice, not risking 2 dice to dispel this. But he gets a Quicksilver Lash off on, and he kills the rest of the knights. And then with the shooting, he just hits and wounds with like everything he shoots at me. And he just kills all of my knights, all of my characters. It got to the point where I remember after all his flintlocks, I had my BSB and my Prelate alive on 1 wound, and he hits and he wounds with both of his bolt throwers, and I was like, Bergie, I was like, how do you do that? Like, how do you just like hit like six like every turn in a row on like fives? It was so gross. It was like because I was so upset too. I was like really freaking upset at this point because I'm like, man, if I just had those two characters alive, they could have easily gone into that unit of like Infernal Guard and like probably just beat down on them, break them, get them out of the way, and then I might have actually won the objective. But it was just not meant to be. Apparently, Bergie's dice were just too hot. So thankfully, the only other thing I can really say that happened that worked out well for me was the wolf, the Knights of Sun Griffin survived combat with the Incarnate. They just barely kill him. They just barely poke through enough wounds to get rid of him, which allows me to get that guy on the objective marker turn 5. So, at the very least, I know at this point I'm not losing the objective. I have one champion alive against those Turok. They just didn't quite kill him last round. So that's something too, I guess. And then my wizard's just kind of moving back, just making sure he's out of arc of the Kadeems. He's just gonna sling some magic. Yep, this guy's just swinging his gun at people. I throw some magic and stuff at the small black of 5, but I just can't get rid of them. And I can't get them to break. You know, all his discipline's right there and everything. These guys kill that guy last round, and they pivot or reform or whatever. And then really the only thing that happens the last turn is we sort of call it, to be honest. My opponent was really great here. So we sort of called it. We tallied up the points, and I was kind of like, oh wow. I'm like, I'm not really that far from possibly turning this into a 16-4. Because I just kind of like my last turn. I'm just like, well, my wizard's gonna move here. You know, this is like basically turn 6. He's able to kill the Knight of the Sun Griffin with all his shooting and magic. And then so we tied turn 5 on the objective marker, and turn 6 he's gonna get 1 point. I was like, oh, I almost could have got like 16-4 here. So he actually lets me run the magic phase again. I basically get a Quicksilver Lash off on. I throw a lot of dice at it, like 4, and I get a high cast. I get it off. I get like 4 hits, but I only do 2 wounds, and the stupid tank is left with 1 wound. If I could have killed that, it would have been like a 16-4. Yeah, this is the I get like a big magic phase, but it's kind of worthless. Yeah, I tried to also. I think I ice and fired like the 4 Sentinel Guard that were left, but I just couldn't really kill them either. So, yeah, this is yep. That's me not being able to kill the tank, and that's the end of the game. Yeah. So let's tally up the points for this one. So the final results for this game is Infernal Dwarves got 4,210 victory points, and Empire Sonnstahl only managed to get 975. So that leaves us at a 17-3, and then we were able to tie the objective, or I was really able to tie the objective because I scored on turn 4. Nobody was able to score on turn 5, and then Infernal Dwarves scored on turn 6. So that leaves us at a 17-3, which, honestly, I was okay with, considering how this game went. I really got to hand it to Bergie. I remember looking at this list thinking, like, oh, I feel like I have a pretty good matchup against this. But I really underestimated how powerful that magic phase is. And he managed it so well every time. Perfect amount of dice. I would say, in my defense, Bergie had some amazing rolls in his magic phase. I mean, just like in 3 dice, he was getting like 14s and 15s, going right over like my MR every time. So, which I think just shows me that MR, even when you want it, even when it's good, it's situational. If your opponent rolls well, he's just gonna get over it. So I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank Justin Bergie for a great game and a good learning experience. And we'll see you soon with another 9th Age Battle Report.